And good evening, everybody, to the family of the Big Blue Nation. That's right. Stone Cold Willow is here at Rupp Arena here tonight because I am here to talk about the strength of the SEC, looking ahead to the SEC tournament, and of course, one of my favorite things to talk about is the hope of Kentucky reaching the Final Four. So sit back and relax and enjoy the ride, because for the next few minutes, I am going to give you the breakdown of everything you need to know, what you're going to see coming this postseason. I mean, March Madness is here. The SEC regular season is over with. The college basketball regular season is over with. And now it is time for the real thing. That's right, March Madness. Now, I know Selection Sunday is just several days away here, and of course the SEC tournament championship game is on Sunday. Now, before we get to that, I want to go ahead and talk about the strength of the SEC, the Southeastern Conference. Man, the SEC. Everyone is putting their doubts on the Southeastern Conference, and here's why. Because people have been complaining for years, talking about how weak the SEC is. Nobody is good other than Kentucky. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're dead wrong, because the Southeastern Conference has drastically improved this season, and everybody knows that for a fact. Furthermore, to add a resume for the Southeastern Conference, they have won their first SEC Big 12 Challenge. That's right. Now, the SEC Big 12 Challenge had established in 2012, and there's been a lot of games played against each other since then. Since that time, the Big 12 had owned the SEC, but in 2017, guess what? The Southeastern Conference won. That's right. They beat the Big 12, and they have won their first series since the series had established at the beginning of the 2012-2013 season, and that's a fact. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. There could be teams. There's like multiple teams from the Southeastern Conference, okay? There could be as many as 8 teams. That's right. There could be as many as 8 teams from the Southeastern Conference that's going to reach the NCAA tournament. Now, look, how many teams from the Southeastern Conference went to the Elite Eight? 3 teams. 3 teams went to the Elite Eight. 1 team out of the SEC went to the Final Four. And sadly, that team who went to the Final Four last year was South Carolina. And speaking of South Carolina, what happened to all this whole trust the process? Like what was that about last year? I mean, South Carolina made a lucky run to the Final Four under the guidance and the tutelage of South Carolina's men's basketball coach Frank Martin. Okay, but what happened? What happened this season, huh? What happened to the South Carolina Gamecocks this season? Well, they surely didn't trust the process. So you're gonna have to need what could be an improbable miracle if South Carolina wants to get into the NCAA tournament, because the only way that they stand a chance now is by winning the SEC tournament. And Auburn and Tennessee, they have already shared the SEC regular season title, so probably good for them, and it's probably good for the league as well. Now, a lot of things has been going on college basketball in terms of the corruption and the bribery of college basketball. FBI has gotten involved in a lot of stuff. There's also teams including like Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky, and it's crazy. I mean, a lot of teams talk about pay-to-play schemes. Funding for their apparel. All that crazy stuff. At some point, the NCAA is going to have to make a ruling on that, and I know the president is going to have a lot to address right after the NCAA tournament is over with. So there's that. So there goes me talking about the strength of the SEC. Like I said, 8 teams from the SEC could get into the NCAA tournament. Now, speaking of the SEC tournament is here now. There has been a lot of games. Now, the Scott Trade Center in St. Louis, Missouri, home of the NHL St. Louis Blues. But there has been a lot of college basketball games that's been played over the years. I mean, they always have the Missouri Valley Conference tournament that happens at the Scott Trade Center every single year, which we already know for a fact. And there has been some NCAA tournament games in the past years. And Kentucky was involved, just 4 years earlier. I mean, they beat Kansas State, and then they beat Wichita State in a wild game out of the Midwest region in 2014. And, of course, that was the year they made a run to the national championship. But, of course, Kentucky was beaten in the national championship game by, of course, UConn. So there goes that. So for the first time, the Scottrade Center and St. Louis will host the 2018 SEC men's basketball tournament. Okay, now Kentucky has gotten the top four, has got inside the top four seed because Missouri defeated Arkansas. So that means Kentucky is it is the sixth consecutive season that they have gotten a double bye in the SEC men's basketball tournament under the guidance and the expert tutelage of Coach John Calipari. Okay, now Kentucky is gunning for their fourth consecutive SEC tournament championship. Okay, now if they do win the SEC tournament championship, it would be their 31st overall. It would be their 31st overall SEC tournament title in the program's history. Okay, and we know that's a fact. But I mean, let the games play out though, because there's going to be a lot of games that's going to be going down. So you have the first round games Wednesday and Thursday. Friday is the quarterfinal games. Saturday is the semifinal games, and of course, Sunday is the championship. So you will see the first round all the way through the quarterfinal games, and you will see that exclusively here on the SEC network. While Saturday and Sunday, ESPN will cover the semifinals and the SEC tournament championship game itself. So will Kentucky win the SEC tournament? I sincerely hope so, because, people's going around here putting a lot in doubt about thinking that Kentucky's not going to win it. I mean, I've been getting a lot of fans here in Lexington. People's been telling me around campus saying that Kentucky doesn't stand a chance at winning the SEC tournament. Well, you know what? I'm here. Stone Cold Willow is going to here to tell you this right here, right now. You are dead wrong. Because I truly believe Kentucky will win the SEC tournament. Do you want to know why Kentucky basketball is going to win the SEC tournament? Well, it's very, very simple. Trust the process. That's all you have to do. Trust the process. You know how the Joe Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers is talking about trust the process? Well, you know what? They're trusting the process pretty good, because he's telling his team to trust the process because they believe the Philadelphia 76ers is going to make the NBA playoffs this season, which most likely they will. And, of course, Frank Martin of South Carolina and his team last year talking about trust the process, making that fake run to the Final Four. I mean, to me, South Carolina's fake anyway. But you know what? But that's why Kentucky's going to win the SEC tournament. You want to know why? Like I said before, and I'll say it again, trust the process. Now, speaking of Kentucky, I want to go ahead and get to them, because I know there's been there has been some people being endowed that Kentucky is at least going to make it to the round of 32 of the NCAA tournament. People, you know something? You're dead wrong. All of you, people are telling me about we're not going to make it to the Elite Eight. We're not going to make a run to get to the Final Four at the least. So get out of here with that, because you want to know who truly believes Kentucky basketball is going to make a run and get to the Final Four. You want to know who truly believes that? You're looking right at him, and his name is Stone Cold Willow. Stone Cold Willow believes it. I believe it. I believe in my heart that we're going to make a run. Put it like this, for example. Remember during the 2010-2011 basketball season, when they nearly lost every single Southeastern Conference road game, and then when they found their rhythm, guess what? They blistered their way and they beat Florida at the 2011 SEC tournament in Atlanta. And guess what? When they won the 2011 SEC tournament in Atlanta, guess what? They went on and made a run to the Final Four. Okay, that's a fact. Or try 2014, though. They struggled up and down all season, and guess what? They found their rhythm just in time for postseason play. Now, in the 2014 SEC tournament, they got beat by Florida right at the end. But the heart and the determination they played, something tells me that they was going to make a deep run in that year's NCAA tournament. And guess what? They did. I'm talking about the 2014 NCAA tournament. They beat Kansas State. They beat Wichita State. They beat the previous season's national champions, Louisville. Then they went ahead and beat Michigan. Then they went to beat Wisconsin. And then they got their hearts snapped in the title game itself against UConn. But the best thing about it was they know how to play together like a team. But I still believe that they got the mobility. They still got the talent. They still got the rhythm. They have the ingredients. They have everything they need to put up together a very deep postseason run. And I'm telling you this from the bottom